Hello, toy friends. Welcome back. It's the 118. Today is 118. So happy 118 scale day to you all. And let's celebrate. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Howdy, howdy. I'm going to break out my best lounge singer impression for It's 118 Day. Hey, baby. Okay, that's enough of that. No more.
Excellent. And we have some awesome guests with us today to celebrate.
We do.
We've got Beta Ray Bob.
Hello.
Howdy. And Scuba Pete.
Star
Wars.
Those crazy Star
How's
Wars.
it going, guys?
Cuckoo cats.
Doing good.
And we got a lot
Thanks,
of
guys,
awesome...
Yeah. Just a note, Scuba and Bob are here on time. Chad is fashionably late. He's got some other stuff, but hopefully he'll pop in later. But if he doesn't,
Cool.
we're just going to sally forth.
Oh, yeah. He said something about drums and, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
But we got
drummers.
Bjorn here with the
hey,
Schmodulon.
Bjorn.
How's it going, buddy? Roll
What's up,
Keeper.
Bjorn?
How's it going? Happy
Hey.
118 day to you. Justin Warrior, how are you?
Hello.
Ian Sweeney, how's it going?
Ian. Unboxing
Ed?
day.
From Action Figs.
Hey, what's up?
Let's see, who else is here? MCR, what's happening?
Hey, hey.
Yes, sir.
Scotty Z70,
Mhm.
what's happening? You got a new name. Frontline, what's up, Frontline? How are you?
Hey.
Robert's Infinite Realms, how's
Hey,
it
Robert.
going?
Oh,
G-Force in the house,
G-Force.
and Dark Lycan.
Hey, Baz.
hey.
And who else is here? Who else?
Starboy Station.
Boy Station.
Starboy
I like
Station.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
How's it going?
What's up?
All right. So we got a good crew here.
Mhm.
And, this was a little something we just kind of threw together. Remember, I saw that thing saying it was 112 day, and I was like, 112. 118's coming up. Maybe we should do something. And yeah, everyone seemed to be on board. So let's do it. Let's celebrate. Oh,
Oh,
hey, Badger. How
What's
are you?
up?
So what we thought we'd do is just get together, talk about some of the things that we like, 118 scale. It's my favorite scale. Not saying it's the best. If
it
you
is.
like another scale,
I am.
it's okay.
Yeah.
We like some of the other stuff too, but
Oh, yeah.
it has
We do.
rich,
We do.
rich history, starting way back when. And what did we figure out, Jim? That 118 scale's been around for what, like 5 decades now, right? Or
More or less. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most commonly known stuff from our Gen X days on forward, pretty much the mid 70s is when we really see some
Yeah.
groovy 118ness.
yeah.
Back in my day, all we had was teeny tiny soldiers to play with.
We had a rock and a stick and we were happy.
I even had little was it wooden soldiers on like a old wood clothespin. They would paint them up. Do you remember those?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think,
so-
my favorite though for non 118 would be the bucket o green soldiers you could get.
yeah,
Mhm.
definitely
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
They go
That in the
Forever.
sandbox. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
And
Then
before we
eventually they
begin,
Disney
I
all
just want to
day.
thank all of our Patreon and channel members: Mike McLaughlin, James Salzberg, Roll Keeper, Beta Ray Bob, Justin Warrior, Wraith Mace, Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures. Thank you so much for your support, everyone. And for those who aren't signed up, join the team.
right.
Let's see.
Our Canva and StreamYard accounts are paid for by viewers like you.
Thank you.
Nice. PBS plug.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
That's right.
Mystery
not,
teacher.
not really a exhaustive list of every 118 scale thing that came out, because this show would be
Oh, no.
like 10
Oh.
hours long.
Yeah.
There's so much, and we've got a lot. We're going to talk about a lot. If you see something that you love and it's your favorite and we haven't talked about it, mention it in the chat. We'll write it down and maybe do a show
Yes.
about it in the future. So
Yeah. Will and I put our heads together and said, we'll cover ones that are our favorite memories that we actually played with and hung out with. It's not an exhaustive list, so don't give me any actuallys in the chat. If actually you forgot, no, we'll do an exhaustive list later in the year. So just saying. Just putting it out.
Yeah, so
This
we
is just 4 or 5 guys hanging out in a bar talking about our favorite scale.
There.
yeah, that's so we started in the 70s. We couldn't really find anything, significant 1/18 scale toys produced before then. So that's where it all started for us. And yeah, it started with from what we can tell, the 70s energy crisis.
Yep.
Pretty much. There were two
Yeah.
big crises of the energy variety where oil prices went through the roof. And of course, plastics are a derivative of oil, not to mention shipping all the stuff back and forth from where it's manufactured. It hit Japan hard, and a lot of the really cool toys that many of our lines now that we're, familiar with originated from, be it Transformers or some of the Real American Hero Joes and other things of that nature. So we'll kind of get into that a little bit. We just wanted to give a background. If you weren't alive in the 70s, or if you didn't know or you weren't paying attention, if you were a petrol head, if you loved your big car, if you had a Cadillac, you were hurting. I remember as a kid, we would wait, and there were certain days you could go and get gas at the station. It was even days and odd days. It was that bad. And they would run out of petrol. You couldn't get gas at the station. They just didn't have it. So prices went up crazy. And so with all of that going up, we saw that there were certain things going on in the world, and it all trickled down. So toy manufacturers got hit, and we're not expecting it. So as we'll see in this slide, these were some of the companies that were in their heyday at that point. And specifically Takata in Japan were doing, some really awesome stuff. And we're trying to figure out how do we do more with less. And it kind of started with them as far as looking at reducing scale. And then everybody kind of jumped on that bandwagon. And that's where we get the Microman, which became Micronauts, and Transformers come out of this same kind of family tree. So, but that comes later. But the main thing was they had taken the G.I. Joe that was popular in the 60s, recombobulated that anatomy to do their Combat Joe. From Combat Joe, they went to what's the name? The cyborg fella that they made it popular. That's the one. So Microman was basically a shrunk down version of that cyborg idea with a translucent body. And this was like proto O-ring kind of stuff. It was neat. It was interchangeable. And I wish they'd bring it back. I love Micro.
Oh, yeah.
I love Micronauts. I didn't have any of the Microman, but it's the same animal. They're cool.
Yeah.
It's so hard to find good Micronauts in the wild. They're always like missing an arm, a leg, a hand. You're like,
half the chrome's off their head.
Yeah, half the chrome, and they're still like, well, how much are they? It's still $50. And you're like,
the interchangeability was fantastic, but it was also the curse, because that meant parts would just fly off and end up in a car seat, or the carpet monster would get them. Oh yeah.
I was big into Micronauts as a kid. So yeah, losing parts was just part of it.
Part of it, yeah.
So 12-inch and 8-inch were kind of the big deal with Mego and their superhero stuff and all that.
Yeah.
12-inch, of course, with Joe. And so going from that bigger scale down to the 3.75, which I don't know why they chose that measurement, but that just seemed to be the way to go. I don't know if it has something to do with the way they made the molds, or some bean counter somewhere said, try this, and broke out the slide rule.
What about 4?
And that's
no.
Yeah.
gotta be a fraction.
Yeah.
They did.
So,
and
yeah,
one of the things like that I saw on this slide that I thought was interesting, it says, unlike other toy lines at the time, Microman figures are marked as being the actual size of the cyborg beings called Micros that hailed from a fictional planet known as Micro-Earth and disguised themselves as action figures on Earth, which makes much more sense. And this even kind of clears up the whole thing with Transformers, which, you notice like G1 Transformers, as far as scaling with each other, are a total mess. You've got a gun that could fit in a kid's hand, trucks. That was also the lore of the Transformers. They were alien robots that were disguising themselves as toys on Earth. They were not full size, robots. That makes sense. We screwed it up
Yeah.
when they came over to America. They messed it up.
It was lost in translation, as they say.
I think like Megatron had like the Microman version had like a seat that the little Microman figures could sit on and operate them like a cannon. And
Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
so
and
totally makes more sense.
yeah, the Diaclone stuff had pilots that were fit for those vehicles, which somehow that got lost when it came over. But anyway, Mego, seeing the writing on the wall for their 8-inch stuff, which they continue to do, but it started to dwindle down. They grabbed this license from Japan and said, let's call it Micronauts and let's see where we can go. And it was very successful for them for about 2 years, I think. 1 or 2 years they put it out.
Couple of years.
Yeah, this was kind of as the 12-inch Joes was kind of dwindling down. They even tried to reinvent and try different things, right? That's when like Super Joe came out. They were trying the Adventure Team and kind of transitioning away from like the war toys or
Warrior.
whatever. So they were trying a lot of different things. So between like 75 and 80, you saw a lot of kind of experiments taking place, right? It was an odd time for toy manufacturers. And, I'd never had these as a kid. I heard about them probably in my adult life. So, do either of you guys have any, personal experience with Microman or the...
Oh, yeah.
As a child? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As a child, so I wasn't allowed to have Star Wars, which Microman came out, or Micronauts came out right about the same time. So my, sci-fi toys were Micronauts.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, they were awesome because the whole interchangeability thing where you could take the wings off one vehicle and put them on another, loved that.
I think Jim has a couple really great slides of some of the stuff. I didn't know this even existed. So, this blew my mind, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a website, and we'll put the link in the description after the live. But Toy Collector's Guide is a great place for finding imagery from hard to find toys and some of the toy catalogs. They're kind of similar to what Plaid Stallions does with some of their kind of stuff, but they cover more than just 70s and 80s. Micronauts, as you can see here, that was a beautiful setup. I didn't know any kids that had all these pieces, but they were all interchangeable, and you could build whatever you wanted. Yeah. The Time Traveler was my very first Micronaut. That was the one I remember first getting as a kid, and it was my favorite.
That translucence just grabs you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even as an adult, you're just like moth to a flame, like, I love you.
Oh, and then the chrome parts on top of it. It's just
yeah. Few things that kids
there's a little crack.
This picture just shows you they didn't just dabble with it, we're gonna try a couple figures and we'll see how it goes. I mean, the line that they cranked out is massive.
Yeah.
What was neat with Mego? Yeah, they went over to these Japanese, not just with the ones who were doing Microman, but they went to several different lines. They said, I'll take a little of that. I'll take some of column B and the column C, and they mashed it all together into Micronauts. That's why Baron Karza is, a larger scale, because he wasn't meant to go with this line. But they said, we'll shoehorn it in. Why not?
Yeah, it's all good.
Biotron here looks awesome. Look at that.
Yeah.
All the different versions. That hydrocopter. Oof.
Oh, that hydrocopter was so much fun.
Yeah, so many.
The little seat in the bubble was
and it would float,
freewheeling. Yeah, it would float.
Yep.
It would work in the bathtub, and the little dude would always stay centered because the way the seat was.
I feel cheated that I didn't have any of these as a child.
I know. What was really cool too is right around this time, like within a year of them putting out the toy line, Marvel Comics gave us the Micronauts comic book, and you would see these guys in the comics along with a few new characters. But it was like, if you had the toy, it's like, I got the toy, I got the comic book, I can see the guy in the comic book. It's the first time we saw that kind of thing. It was neat.
Yeah. Let's check in with the chat and see if anyone, I'm going to go back a little bit here. About the oil crisis, the 6000 SUX, 8 miles per gallon from RoboCop. I want a toy of that so bad. I definitely want one of those. I want two of them. One so I could have one and then one so Clarence could blow it up. Remember when what's his name gets one, and he's like, "Look what I got." He's like, "I got one too," and he's like,
We had a Gran Torino. You just look at the accelerator and you just watch the gas gauge go down to empty.
Jeff, how
Kind
are
of
you?
hop from one gas station to the next.
Pretty much.
And Microman was a guilty pleasure. A guilty pleasure? What? They're awesome. Guilty pleasure
Oh,
are
yeah.
usually things that not everyone loves, right? But you kind of love it. Scott saying lost too many parts to the evil vacuum monster.
Yeah.
Those
Tiny little hands.
Headshine. We had Chrome. Yeah. I often dream that I'm digging in the backyard of my old house where the sandbox was and finding them. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. The price is prohibitive. Yeah, to get into that, you know.
Yeah.
And Dark Licensing. Thanks to Scuba for getting me back into Action Force and GI Joes. Yeah, Action Force.
No problem at all, Baz. I'm your enabler.
Yeah.
That's what's so great about all of our friends. Everybody's like, you definitely should get that.
We got
No one ever goes.
Mace coming in. Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Let's see
friends
here.
don't let friends buy Funko Pops. I will talk somebody out of
Yes,
that.
yes. I mean, yeah.
Spot on.
Draw a line.
Scott said
Have
he
an
hated
intervention.
Micropolis. Those little gray snapping pieces pinched his fingers all the time.
Oh, yeah. I know what
Oh,
you're
is that
talking
right?
about.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
connector
like
pieces.
the way those cities that the Micronauts had was they were a bunch of like just little plastic squares that you would use little connectors to put together in like whatever shapes you wanted. So yeah,
What's
those
the
connectors were
Faroid time chamber? That's a favorite there.
Mhm.
Kind of looked like a sarcophagus. It was like a,
like a real Egyptian.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look
and
that up.
The Lilith, 1978, the toy photography was beautiful, marvelous. Like those catalogs drew you in, like you wanted to be part of that world, So
Yeah.
definitely
I
understand.
feel
that.
bad for those kids, though. I mean, those kids would be sitting there with all this stuff and it'd be like, okay, take the picture. Now we're taking all the toys away. Go home, kid. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, be like, what?
I do. I always wondered, those kids, the models, did you get to keep the toys? And they're probably like, no. Those are prototypes.
You gotta look up some of the old
actually
Micronauts
touch it.
commercials on YouTube.
So,
it's like
the granddaddy of them all, the Micronauts and Microman. Lots of love for them. Like I said, I didn't get into these. I never really saw them. This is
I'm beginning
probably
to now.
My first
Oh,
toy
boy.
was a comic action hero. So in 76, Mego unleashed a squad of comic action hero figures standing at a mighty 3.7 inches tall. They may have been small in size, but these bad boys were big in character. With an initial lineup of 12 characters. And what was cool back then, they had both licenses. They did Marvel and DC, to keep the action going. They were also rolled out several vehicles, play sets, and some of the stuff is crude. The articulation doesn't look right. A
The
lot of jokes
unfortunate hand
contained.
position.
yeah.
The
Yes.
hand
I was gonna say,
position was
not as cool as Scuba's beer and steer technology from Fisher Price guys.
Yes.
These-
this was I'm sure
Yeah.
we could come up with a better saying.
Wow.
What was
But it
even
would
worse
be
were the
appropriate
little
for all
squatty ones.
audiences.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So you got the Marvel Comics guys, though, and you had the DC characters, and we won't see the DC and Marvel at the same exact scale kind of playing together in the 118 for a long time after this, not until the 2020s and current day. So it started like this where you could have both. And they went through till 1979. They rebranded to Pocket Heroes. This is probably one of my first toys that I remember. I remember it was my brother's birthday, and my grandmother. I was the youngest at the time until my younger siblings were born, but she brought me a present on my brother's birthday, and my brother had a fit, and nothing made me feel better and it was the Robin from the Pocket Heroes, and
Nice.
I broke his cape in about 3 seconds after getting it out
Oh,
of
no.
the package because he had like a
It's like
plastic
just a little
cape
strip of vinyl. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something, and I just went, "Oh, this is cool." Break, and I just remember going, "Oh, no!"
Kind of like the vinyl cape Jawa. Yeah, same. Like,
Mm.
oh,
Yeah.
it's tore. Yeah.
Just broke it. immediately. But yeah, wonderful memory. I had that Robin figure for years, well past, but I always kept him, and I don't have him anymore. I should pick one up, but definitely a lot of fun.
Right.
So
Looking at it through the historical lens, though, I mean,
you have any good memories?
Oh yeah, I had the Batman and the Spider-Man.
Nice. Yeah, see, Batman and Spider-Man were hanging out back when you were a kid, and they should be able to.
Yeah, and people are fawning over McFarlane's new superpowers, putting out vehicles. It's like, you know what? Mego put out a invisible jet for Wonder Woman. They put out the Whirly Bat. They did all that stuff.
Yeah,
they did it for the 8-inch, and they did it for the 3.75.
I think they had a Batmobile as well. It didn't look great.
They did.
But once again,
cycles. Yeah, Bat Cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they recolored some of the old Micronauts vehicles and put them out.
Yeah,
superhero vehicles.
Oh.
Yeah, Hulk was too short. Yeah, I do like when within the scale they appropriately scale the monster size figures to fit within that scale. I hate when everything's 4 inches across the board, regardless of size.
Read G-Force's comment.
My parents told me my first theft was a Robin figure when I was 4. Hey, we've got one coming up, and I'll
Speaking of pocket heroes, get in there.
That's
I had a similar experience.
Necessity is the mother of shoplifting, I think.
That's right.
Well, I think it was one of my siblings was just like, just pick it out of the package. I was like, really?
Yeah, just take it out.
Yeah, go for it. And I did. And nothing bad happened. So I was like, I'll tell you which figure it was later.
But the guilt. The guilt.
The
crushing guilt later.
Oh, yeah. And my brother, blackmailed me for months about it.
So he set you up.
Yeah, totally. Oh, man. My brothers are... Hey, Zazel, what's happening?
What's up, Zazel?
Hey, dude.
So Buck Rogers, 1979, was a nice 1/18 scale O-ring line following the release of the movie and TV show. The line was a huge success for Mego before they discontinued it in 1980. Also, a lot of cool figures. Great. I remember the show. I never had the toys. What about you guys?
Same.
I had the figures.
Fan, but yeah, I never had the toys.
They were hard to find. This is where we really started seeing that O-ring style coming in that will, we know and love from Real American Hero Joe's. Mego really was starting to dial it in. They were getting better at doing the face sculpts. Kind of looked like the characters, but not 100%. But it was closer than anything we'd seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never did get my hands on a Starfighter. Those were hard to find because the line came out and it just, it disappeared. It didn't stay on the shelves.
I just wanted to get my hands on Wilma. I mean, what?
I think we all wanted that at that age.
Oh, yeah.
Or Princess, what's her name?
Oh, Princess Ardala.
Yeah.
Ardala.
Yeah. Rollkeeper saying he had Buck and Tweaky and the Draconian fighter. Oh, the Draconian fighter.
Oh, the Draconian. Yeah. That's a great fighter.
And Micronauts saw in the last gasp of the Buck Rogers line, they saw one of the Micronauts vehicles. They made it like the Searcher Explorer thingy.
Oh yeah, the little track.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
hi, Leslie.
Yeah.
Howdy. And the coloring book, the Buck Rogers cool. Figures are incredible. Usual Mike TV. Thanks for being here. Yeah.
What's up, Mike?
Yeah, chat's really flying. So I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble keeping up here.
Yeah.
But Ian Sweeney though with the small die cast. I think I had a couple of those, and he had a Buck Rogers helmet which he wore everywhere.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah. Then Mego did also in 79 the Black Hole series, which correct me if I'm wrong, some of these look like just recolored Buck Rogers figures, right? Like
they were some new sculpts.
They're new sculpts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But they had that same kind of O-ring design. Yeah.
Yeah.
These were fun.
Loved the movie. Never had the figures. Kind of,
I had a couple of the astronauts. I never did get Vincent, and at the very end of the line, they put out old Bob, but I never saw him on shelves. But I didn't see the movie. I just had the figures, and so I just used them to play with my Star Wars stuff that came out.
Just moved them right in.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's an astronaut. He'll fit in fine. He fits.
I can remember sitting in the theater watching that and just like, you're coming off that Star Wars high, and then wow, this is great. This is Disney, even as a kid.
Nice. I think The Black Hole is a great movie and kind of ahead of its time, So yeah, the Star Wars craze exploded across the galaxy in 77. Every Hollywood studio is dusting off any script. Can we add spaceships and robots to this? Ventured to claim their stake in the galaxy. Universal Studios threw in their hat with Battlestar Galactica blasting off with a 2-hour pilot, September 1978. I also like this. And Mattel jumped onto the Battlestar Galactica hype train with a series of action figures and toys released between 78 and 79. The toy line did pretty well. It reached a cult status with diehard fans itching to get their hands on this previous precious collectibles. Even today, a lot of people looking for these. I had, what's his name? Daggett?
Daggett.
Daggett.
I had him.
Muffy.
I had him because I didn't know. I don't think what he went to, but he was always part of my my little collection of toys that I acquired. I'm not really sure. My my grandma worked as a school cafeteria lady. She was a lunch lady, and she would come home with
Sloppy Joe's. Sloppy Joe's.
Love them sloppy. She would come home with just random things left behind, from the lost and found, or just they would find. And
nice.
I think that was one of those things where she was always like, "You don't mind broken toys?" I was like, "No, not at all. I'll take them."
Yeah. This was a perfect example of a toy company who had no idea what to do with the intellectual property they had in their hands. You give us Starbuck, you don't give us Apollo. You give us spaceships, but you don't scale them to the figures. It's like, who thought this was a good idea? Oh, I was so aggravated. Even as a kid, I was like, "This, what are you guys doing?"
This is a great slide because it shows the variant in the Daggett, that dark orange.
Yep. There were two colors. I forgot about that.
And I just recently found the gold Cylon. I got that for my birthday last month.
Oh, nice.
That was tough to find.
So again, the gold one was crazy rare because it came out in the second series, and they didn't make much. They kind of gave up on the line after just 1 or 2 years, even.
Yep.
Well,
it was just a
part
flash.
Of that might have been that when one of those little ships.
We'll talk about that in a second. Yep.
Yeah.
That was the infamous thing that screwed up a lot of other toys for a while.
We got a lot of love for the black hole.
Nice.
So I'm just gonna breeze through some of these.
I'd love to find an old Bob.
The black hole. Yeah,
we could do a whole show just on black hole.
You're not beat up though, old Bob. You're in great shape.
You're only seeing this part of it.
Robert saying
the rest is worse.
It's not the years, it's the mileage.
Exactly.
You know what? You're good. I don't know. I didn't see one, but if there was one, we missed it because I don't remember.
There is.
That, but...
Oh, okay.
There is now. There was, and there were the bendy figures
vintage.
Even as a kid. Yeah. So and the model kits were big for the monsters. The glow in the dark stuff too.
Did you? I'm not a huge fan of Super 7, but did you get sucked in on the black hole figures, the reaction figures? I did.
I just
I was that I was very tempted to. And,
that Maximilian was tempting, but
I was like, I'm getting those. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, so we breezed past the thing, but the Mattel's Battleship Galactica line featured vehicles, but the ships were not proportional to the figures, which was a huge disappointment. The firing missile feature was cool, but due to an unfortunate incident involving a child swallowing one of those red missiles, don't eat the toys, kids. The firing mechanism was removed and replaced.
We can't have nice things.
Missiles. Yep,
that's exactly it.
So
and
you've got the Colonial Viper, the Cylon Raider, both great toys too. Very cool.
Can hear those sound effects in my head right now.
And then, so not really then, it's kind of running parallel
simultaneously
to this. Fisher Price really rocked with the Fisher Price Adventure people. I mean, even so much, guys, if you don't, which channel did we do that on? But Scuba, you were here once, and we did a great show talking about the Adventure people and our love for them. That was on Largo's Lounge, I believe. So check Largo's channel for that. Maybe we'll link it. But yeah, that was really a fun discussion and such a great toy line. I mean, it went from 75 to 85, more than 40 sets and 75 different figures. So much fun here.
I love those aliens that they came out with near the end, like Clawtron.
Oh yeah. I mean, they started as just like, just everyday folks. And then when the Star Wars craze hit, they're like, let's slap some paint on this guy. And that race driver is now a cyborg. Okay. Let's see where we can go with that.
Stick some
what if we made them
translucent? Make it translucent and give them glowing eyes. Now you got a robot. Yeah. X-ray man.
It's like, see ya, woodsman.
That's it. They were not afraid to reuse and repurpose, and they were very creative with it. So some of those turned to be, some of our favorite toys growing up, and they fit with your Star Wars or whatever else you had,
I'm going to say it now, too, though. These Fisher-Price vehicles hold up, man.
Built like a tank.
These things were meant to last, and some of them are in better condition than toys made, just a few years ago. So, such a great line.
As a kid, a friend of mine's mom ran over one of my Fisher-Price vehicles, and it was fine.
It was good.
Yeah. Good to go.
And they used Fisher-Price Adventure people to mock up and kind of pitch.
I love this bit of history.
Yeah, it's such a great, so awesome. The designers of the early Kenner Star Wars figures used Adventure people.
And Han Solo.
To help conceptualize.
I would have loved to have seen Fisher-Price get the license and actually have these, as an extension of the Adventure line. That would have been so cool.
So that's great. So we've got some great things.
This makes me want to do some customs. Hey, Goji.
I know.
Like take a couple of my beaters and just
repaint.
Get some clay, get some paint.
It would be, definitely. And I'm surprised
because you could have your Burt Reynolds clone and your Han Solo hanging out in the Baja Jeep. Yeehaw!
I'm surprised some enterprising, person hasn't gone out there and done that, and selling them. Kind of a what if, And then, of course, 118 would never be the same after this. Star Wars comes out in 1977. George Lucas was searching for a company to distribute merchandise and toys for his new science fiction movie, Star Wars. What's this? Star Wars. Despite his efforts, none of the companies he approached showed any interest. Even Mego famously rejected the opportunity. However, a small toy company named Kenner decided to take a risk on it, and the rest is history. The world of
it's like everybody else was doing boys' toys. Kenner was known for like Easy Bake Oven. It's like, you guys got Star Wars? It's like, yeah.
And the like skyscraper build sets and spirograph and that kind of stuff.
They were they were not known for action figures. So this was new territory for them.
It all began with a promise because they couldn't get the figures out fast enough. So a genius, actually, kind of came up with this thing. They said, we got to capitalize on Christmas 77. It's here. So they did this early bird certificate package where you could then, buy the box, get the certificate, and send in later when they had, it's like a pre-sale, action figures.
It was like the most glorified IOU in history. It's like, you get an empty box for Christmas, kids. Oh, but wait, there's more.
But it worked. It worked because a lot of people got those. And the early bird was a remarkable promotion idea, but it was one that came out of necessity. The sudden success of Star Wars caught everyone off guard. And as a result, they weren't ready. So it wasn't that they didn't plan for this.
Here, have a puzzle.
They didn't expect it was going to be this sensation, So
so good.
So in a bold move, Kenner decided to produce their main line of Star Wars figures in a more economical 3.75 inches, and this decision was kind of following the trend of the time, but also revolutionizing because now they could bring all those ships and
world building
into it.
yeah.
Yeah, because that decision led to a new line of vehicles and playsets, which complemented the Star Wars line perfectly. And
if they had gone with the Mego 8-inch or the 12-inch that was still kind of popular, we would have never got all these cool accessories for our figures.
Yeah,
Kenner, whoever was working on their design team, had some great ideas, and the brilliant idea was make cool vehicles that the figures work with and could fit in. And man, everybody's been chasing that ever since.
Yeah, Mego saw that, like the X-wing fighter, and went, "Oh yeah, that's what we should have done with Starbuck." Damn.
Yep. Oh yeah, poor Mattel. They somebody got fired over that. I'm sure.
And
well, I'm sure. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't have much Star Wars stuff. I had the land speeder for sure. I know I had that, and I had a couple of the figures. But my 118 love hasn't started yet. We haven't gotten to it. Oh, well, we kind of did at the
like
80s came around.
Whatever.
Yes.
I think we're alone now. Oh.
In the 80s, we had the Boba Fett figure was first introduced as a mail away. They needed to
this was kind of neat because he was part
deals.
of he was part of the original Star Wars line, not Empire, because the only place anybody ever seen him was in that Christmas special that was god awful.
Right.
But hey, we all watched it because it was Star Wars. He got his own little cool cartoon.
Yeah, collect proofs of purchase and send them in thing. So this started. Maybe there were mail-in offers before this, but this is pretty famous.
Yeah.
So the mail away was marketed as the rocket firing version, not for human consumption, complete with a missile that could be launched from his backpack. However, due to an unfortunate incident, which is terrible, they had to be altered.
Boo.
Yep.
Yeah,
it really is a Christmas story. You imagine all these kids. Yeah, running to the mailbox every day. Like I would check it every day. Be like, is it there? Is it there? Is it there? Is it there?
Yeah,
my mom and dad are like, shut up about it already.
What was it? 6 to 8 weeks for processing and delivery?
Yeah.
6 to 8 weeks.
How about now? And then to get it, and it doesn't fire, and you got the little note in there. I remember going, being that whole like son of a bitch. But he's still
there was something cool.
You just badass, right?
The coolest thing about mail away stuff, and this became a trend for several years. How often as a kid did you get mail that had your name on it? It's
not often.
Maybe
never.
from grandma on Christmas, but it's like you got an official package from a company with your name on it and stuff inside for you. It's like wow. Yeah.
So
and that we really do care. They really did.
And
they
did.
And Ed said he got an IOU from Mego for Bo and Luke Duke instead of coming with the General Lee car like they were supposed to. I did not know that. So that was something.
I'd never heard of that. That's cool.
Play sets.
We'll
awesome.
touch on
what a lineup. Classic Kenner. Yeah, they kick. They did the best vehicles. Better than that. Yep.
It's really the first time I remember being able to go see a movie and then act out those scenes and new scenes, with my toys.
Yeah.
That's what was just so earth-shattering about it.
Yeah, with 80, Mego was. Oh, go ahead.
No, she just saying my uncle was and still is a Star Wars collector, and he was the one who took them to see the movie. We've both gone to every movie since, but
Very
he was the one that bought me my first Joe and started that addiction. Yeah, that's kind of my story too. I
Swivel arm battle grip just took over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh no. Gojo turned mailed away for 4 Boba Fett's whose arm building.
You had a Boba fetish?
Boba fetish. That's hilarious.
So Mego had been riding high. They had been doing really well with their 8-inch stuff, and their pocket heroes were really cool. And they had the corner marketed for quite a while as far as Planet of the Apes and all the superheroes, Star Trek. Then they got into like Starsky and Hutch and all the TV stuff, Happy Days even.
Yep.
By the 80s, they were on fumes. They were headed towards the dark path because they missed on Star Wars. That was a bad choice. They didn't know it at the time. They lost the market share that they had, and they're trying to figure out, okay, we need a hit. What are we going to do? And this is what they came up with.
Yep.
Some hillbillies with an orange car.
Love the show when I was a kid. I didn't even know about any of the other stuff. The characters, the jumps, the destroying of cars, all of it was just great, such a good show.
And Daisy Dukes.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, sorry, I blanked out there again.
I didn't know what hormones were, but I knew what those Daisy Dukes made me feel. I felt kind of funny.
So yeah, they had the whole line, and Ed was talking about that.
Yeah.
You can see they used different construction where Bo and Luke are kind of traditional O-ring figures, but Jesse and Daisy were kind of like more like Fisher Price Adventure people, right? Like the way they were constructed.
Yeah.
Was from, I don't know what Mego had made for girls' toys, but she had rooted hair and very little articulation, but they found a way to wedge her into her Jeep, which they added later to the line. You got Uncle Jesse. I don't know why we never got Waylon Jennings, because, hey, man, he was on every show playing that guitar. Should have had a Waylon Jennings character.
Right? They should have. Yeah, just have him. But yeah,
and then we had
Boss Hogg. Can you think of a better villain? He was just amazing.
I need to get him and put him in like one of my creature cantinas, where I have like mashup world going, because that would be hilarious. Him in the back.
And you got to get the bartender from Love Boat too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Isaac.
Yep.
And Cooter. Can there be a better name?
Yeah, it's like, what kid doesn't want a Cooter character in their toy box?
Just fantastic. I love it. I had many, General Lee vehicles. I think I had this one too at some point, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was more of like a kind of like a Gay Toys Inc., where it was just like plastic.
Yeah, blow mold almost.
Like blow molded with the things, and it was very easy to break. So I don't think they lasted as long, because I took this outside. Built a big mud pile in my backyard, and I was throwing it and making jumps and doing all that stuff.
And just like the real General Lees, they didn't land well. I mean, they cut that part out of the TV show, but every time one of those, it's like, that car's wrecked. It's never going to drive straight.
And and this is where I came into Star Wars, was The Empire Strikes Back. It was the first one I saw. Unfortunately, I fell asleep during it, and then my brothers and my cousin were teasing me the whole way home. You fell asleep and missed it, and there was no going back. So I had to wait until it hit HBO years later to find out what happened. But Empire Strikes Back, released between 80 and 82, 29 new figures. So it just continued the epic. And boy, did they have some good vehicles with this movie.
And they were no dummies. It's like, hey, everything we release for Star Wars, so just slap it on an Empire card. We'll put it out again. And they still sold.
Yep.
So there was none of this FOMO. There was no, hey, if you need a C-3PO, you can get a C-3PO.
I thought the Han Solo and Carbonite that comes with the slave one was the coolest thing ever. My friend had it, and I
wanted that so bad.
That is amazing. This is a line that just pisses me off, because I never had it. I swear it was like a flash in the hand.
Yep.
I found out about them. They were not in stores, and you couldn't find them anywhere. Like, this is a line I wanted, but I could not find it.
I remember they came into the Navy Exchange on the base where my dad was, and they had like an end cap display 1 week. We went back the next week, gone, just done.
Wow.
Like, what?
Yep.
I remember seeing them.
I had a cousin, he had all of these, and he had them set up on his, in his room, and I was like, oh my God, those are so cool. And he was like, you cannot touch them. And I was like, what? And he's like,
you're like, come on.
So I was like, And he's like, no touch, and then he told me that he was also a ninja and he would kill me. So, I was like 7.
It's like, also, I can kill you with my brain.
Yes.
And I stayed awake all through Empire Strikes Back. And you're like, shut up.
yeah. Oh, man. Here's where it hit for me, man. I saw this. We'll check in with the chat too. But, that Vamp commercial that they launched on TV where they showed that was like, oh my God. I was like, I want that. I want that. I want that.
I'm doing that in the backyard now.
Get me that, and I remember, famously my dad came home with a 12-inch G.I. Joe and I cried like a little baby because I was like, this isn't what I wanted. And
it's like, it says G.I. Joe on the box. It's like,
there you go. Good.
And then I think after that, the commercial came out one time. So I ran and I was pulling my dad by I'm because I wanted him to see the commercial, and as soon as I got him into the living room, it was over. And I was like, but I finally got them. And toys were never the same for me after this, man.
Yeah.
This really did it for me.
Oh, yeah. The articulation, the fact they could hold their gun in different positions now. You could make them run. I mean, all that versus the 5 POA of the Kenner. It just, Star Wars for me got left in the dust.
Oh yeah. And it was funny is, now as adults, we know the behind the scenes is they really had a hard time convincing Hasbro to bring G.I. Joe back. They didn't want to do it. But once they did, they committed and they said full court press. We're going to do comic book, coloring book, cartoon. We're hitting everything.
Lunchboxes.
And boy, howdy. Yep. Yeah.
Thank you, Reagan, for deregulation.
That's right.
Which,
open season.
The cartoons were basically a big long commercial for everything they could shove in there.
What's up, Chad?
Well, saying,
hey, buddy.
Uncle bought a breaker and gave me a hard time that he didn't have a gun, so he gave me rock and roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm gonna show you. I mean, beautiful artwork. The comic,
Dorito art.
The comic, the first 2 issues, because I think I got issue 2 before I got issue 1, but the paper, the ink, everything about that, just I love it. I just love it so much. It's so amazing.
It's such an iconic cover too. I mean, just that the explosion and it's just, man, it was so. I was so well done.
Into these, and this is my first. So it must have been my birthday. I got the attack vehicle Vamp. I got Snake Eyes, who. I knew how to read, I get it, but I thought his name was Snake Eyes. I just thought he was a bad guy. So for the first couple months I had him, he was a bad guy. He was the leader of the bad guys. I don't know why.
It wasn't until Chuck Norris taught us that good guys wear black. Before that, black was
I got Snake Eyes, Stalker, who was my favorite Joe because he was the only good guy. Him and Clutch him and Clutch versus these guys for the first 3 months that I had them, before I got the comic and figured out that my brother's like, Snake Eyes isn't bad, you idiot. And I was like, oh, okay. I dumb.
Duly noted.
No, Snake Eyes is badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Bob.
So
and he was not a ninja. He was a commando.
Spent all his money on Transformers. Yes, I did. And, so, going back to that famous story about someone taking something, that was the take apart C-3PO. Do you remember from Empire Strikes Back where he's in pieces? That was the one that I just had to have for some reason. So I was in the store. My brother's like, just rip open the package. Take it. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah.
Nobody's watching.
And then, for months later, he's like, hey, Will, where'd you get that C-3PO? And I'd be like, shut.
Yeah.
Problem with your droid?
Yeah. My parents probably wouldn't have noticed.
Your lunch money. All of it right now.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was like, my parents are going to be like, I don't recall buying you a take apart C-3PO. We have our checklist of Will's toys that we purchased.
You're right. The crushing guilt. We've all done it. And it's those days afterwards, it's like, Oh, this is really
It's
oh god.
horrible. But I
I got in
wanted
trouble more for the recess swaps. You know, you take a couple pocket guys into
Yes.
school, and on
Mm.
recess you'd be playing with them. It's like, well, I got this guy and you got that guy. Let's swap. Okay,
Mm.
you know, and you come home. It's like, what the hell? Do you take it back? I was like,
Well, I
no
told-
take
yeah,
backs.
I famously,
Yeah, no take backsies.
it was like a snow day, and I was out there with my polar battle bear playing on the snow mound, and my friend, this kid across the street was like, that looks fun, I want it, and I was like, oh well, it's mine, so I'm gonna keep having fun on the snow mound. And he had the Wolverine, and I really liked that, and he's like, I'll trade you this for that, and I was like, okay. And I took it.
Yep. No
And
brainer.
later on that night, knock, knock, knock. It's his mom, and she's like, that toy costs, half as much as that
Oh,
toy. Your
Lord.
son ripped my son off. And I was like, oh.
Oh yeah, because that's
Yeah,
what we
like
were
you-
talking
you-
about. The
But it
cost.
was his
Yeah.
fault. He's the one
Yeah.
that ran into his house and grabbed it and just had to have it. So
He's sitting at his house with a cake of soap in his mouth.
after the C3PO
You know.
incident, Will had to go on the run and join the A.
If you can find him.
And if
Just
you
the
have Star
guilt.
Wars toys,
Yes. But yeah, G.I.
And a
Joe
Wolverine.
definitely started it. Yeah, I scammed the kid out of Wolverine. That kid's
Right, yeah, that was your
victorious.
intent.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And
God, you
Return
got
of
me
the
thinking about
Jedi.
that. We're supposed to have
was
snow
great.
tonight, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Go outside and play.
And it was the perfect time to do it, Return of the Jedi. This is when, I think this is the first one I went to the movies through and stayed awake for the entire movie. And then, got to see
Hooray!
the dolls and the figures. I even
Yub
have
nub.
my favorite Star Wars Return of the Jedi toy right here.
Oh, yeah.
nice.
The best. Oh my god. And for a very long time, Return of the Jedi was my favorite movie. And
Hey, man.
I kind of
Oh,
I
yeah.
flip flop between
Mhm.
the two.
It was not as emotional as scarring as Neverending Story when the horse died,
Oh,
but when the Rancor died, I felt bad for him. It's like I know he just tried to eat a Jedi, but I mean, come on, it's
Yeah.
not his fault.
It was
But
that little
I
whimper
had-
he made at the very end.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I had
You're
the
like,
Memorial
"Whoa."
Guard. I had Jedi Luke, and I had a ton of fun with that. That was like the best, And where is I got him recently. I never had. Did they make him in the Kenner? This is the Power of the Force 2 one. The
Yeah, they made him in Kenner.
yeah,
the Rancor Keeper. Yeah,
Rancor
And
Keeper,
he
I
had
forget his name,
he had
but-
such a great scene where he just starts bawling like a baby, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Jedi is
He's
an
hugging the
asshole.
other
He
guy."
killed my baby." Yeah.
It's the best character. Yeah. Oh, so we used to play, and then of course, like my brother would pull his T-shirt over his head and play Rancor guy, and mess around.
Yeah, because once his hood falls off, it's kind of like, whoa.
Whoa.
What's going on here?
A lot of real estate.
Tons of great toys in this line too. There you go, Rancor monster, just so
Jabba.
awesome. And the Jabba, come on, look at him smoking his little hookah there, eating fucking frogs out of.
He-
He
was a gangster.
Oh, oh, oh.
Did you Oh yeah. My friend had
Yep.
a Rancor. I never had one until my brother sent me this just a couple months ago. So I actually never had a Rancor monster as a kid. So I was happy when I got that in. He's really cool.
Yeah, these were neat. What was your
And
guys' favorite
then-
Star Wars vehicle? I mean, everybody
Yeah.
loved the X-wing, but when the A-wing came out, I was like, "Ooh, that one! I like that."
Falcon. Millennium
Yeah.
Falcon, always my favorite.
Oh,
Because, ship playset, blur the lines.
I
Good to
remember
go.
just riding my bike down the road one day, and I saw some kid playing on his front lawn with the Falcon. And I just ran over, and I was just like, I dumped my bike, and I was like, "Whoa, what's that, the Millennium Falcon?" And he was cool. Yeah, I got to hang out with him, and we played. For
It
a
was one of
while.
those, like, it was also doubled as an action figure case because it was
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
those, like, okay, you can bring one toy, and you're like, well, I'm bringing the Falcon. Everything's good.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of love for a lot of these. A lot of people coming in. TIE Interceptor. Yeah,
Ooh,
always wanted a
nice.
B-wing. Yeah, my friend had a B-wing. He
that
told me
whole
Falcon
the way the
all
cockpit
day.
stayed with the gyro.
B-wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The snow speeder. That's a good vehicle, man. That is nice with the tow.
It was a cool look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's nice. And then Star Wars kind of petered out here. We had they did the Power of the Force thing. They did a line for Ewoks and droids, and some of this might have happened in between there, but yeah, this is kind of the end of Star Wars.
The droid stuff, it was like they tried to recreate the cartoony look, and it's like, this sucks. The only good thing that came out of the droids line was the A-Wing, which we have in the regular line, but it was like,
did you? I remember seeing that and going, "That's for baby, like for little kids." Like that's
they took a step back. Yeah, it was nice. And then we had some, G.I. Joe, which was dominating at this time, had some, some fans. Gung Ho International Security Force was the original name of Leonard's The Corps, and they were sued and had to change it to the Corps. So it started as
imagine that.
We also had Sergeant Rock figures came out.
Sergeant Rock
from Galoob, and Galoob also made a lot of generic kind of soldier lines and rebranded several other times. But the cool thing was you could go to Kmart and get a 4-pack of figures, or even I think a 2-pack for the same price, and they also had some vehicles and some good stuff there.
Yeah. And all the vehicles usually came with at least one figure, so you'd have doubles if you lost one.
And they throw a ton of weird accessories, like those little barrels and like whatever the crates and the little ammo things. They even did a MASH line, which some people might know. I bought and did a video about a year ago. So I got the play set. So
that was so cool at Joe Fest.
That was great. And guys, I'll just say this. That was a really, the 80s, the 70s and the 80s really set the groundwork here. But what we're going to see after the beginning of the 90s, because that's when G.I. Joe kind of died off for a few years and things changed. Most of the lines we see after this are kind of repeats of everything we just went over, and just new iterations and new styles of the same things over and over again. Until we get to just about the end where we see like our first kind of innovative and kind of new and original line come up. There'll be some stuff that we obviously didn't we don't cover, but for 1/18
Joe went
scale,
neon, went to space, and then went away.
Yeah, and then the only thing new we really saw in the 90s 1/18 scale wise was Star Wars Power of the Force and the Power of the Force 2. When these came out, that coincided with the re-release of the movies on VHS, and they even ran them in the theaters, and I did get to finally go back and see Empire in the theater through the whole thing. The thing that killed me was I had adult working money at this time. I had missed out on so much of the Kenner stuff and had, hand-me-downs and never really had those. I went nuts with this stuff, man, because it was everywhere and it was kind of cheap, like you could buy. Yeah. I'm like, wait, I could buy all of these. I have money for this. I just went crazy.
This was the first time that I actually got hit with the nostalgia member berries thing. It's like I saw these on the shelf. I'm like, oh, you just feel that, it's like, that's so cool. And the figures were beefy. They sculpted them to be, heroic.
Yeah. We've never missed a day at the gym.
Toy Biz. I bought tons of this Toy Biz stuff, but I don't really consider it 1/18 scale line. It's kind of that superpowers where it's like 4.5 to 5 inch. It's a little big. And it's almost like that Kenner scale, because they took the superpowers and then turned that into Robin Hood, turned that into pretty much every
World, Congo,
World, every license they picked up in the 90s, they just kind of kept that same, just slightly bigger. It wasn't as big as He-Man, but it was like just bigger than, I guess they were trying to say like, this dolly's just a little bit bigger and better than your little G.I. Joe or, whatever. And they kind of went the way of less articulation and more like special features. Like they had lights or spring missiles or some kind of chopping action. And you didn't see, it wasn't like
everything had to have a gadget. Everything had to have a tie-in. And we didn't see a lot of the 118 anymore. Everything went to a weird
some nice deep
scale
dives though, where they did like Shadows of the Empire, and you got that awesome Outrider and Dash Rendar there. Those are really fun. And then this is when I think we hit the peak, and it was downhill from there for Star Wars because they went nuts with Episode 1. The launch of Episode 1 was insane. I actually, I had the pleasure of working at KB Toys at the time, and I've told the story a million times before, but it was like a several month build up to this. Like we had to rearrange our entire store, so whereas all action figures were in this one aisle, we had to like displace them and turn it into the Star Wars Episode 1 aisle. They sent us those things to put over the aisle. We had to attach them to the racking. Yeah,
or like they had the Naboo fighter that was giant that they was you have that hanging over.
We're a mall-based store, so we even rented a kiosk just as a Star Wars Episode 1 kiosk.
Wow.
And we had to hire several employees just to run that. So, and we had to go out there and kind of relieve them because they were like a satellite store on the other side.
Forgotten out there.
Yeah, they were forgotten out there. And, hey, I was a dork. I was in my 20s. But, yeah, we used to sneak up on the guy. He was actually a buddy of mine from high school. I hired to work there, Chris. And, we'd jump out. And we'd had lightsabers. We all bought lightsabers. We walked around with them on our thing, and we'd attack them. And
scare the orange Julius right out of it.
We had a letter. We got a letter from mall management to no longer have lightsaber battles in the comic. And I should have framed the thing. And I'll tell you, the build
were you
up to this
were you like you kind of snuck around? Were you a Phantom Menace?
A Phantom Menace. I wish that because the hype leading up to this was an amazing time. Like we had so much fun. Even the night of, when we were going to the
premiere
midnight release, we just ran into this other crew, and we're like, looking at them, and they're looking at us, and we all just pulled out our lightsabers and started beating each other up. We didn't even know
that was the Toys R Us versus KB.
Yeah,
that's
like,
it.
Like Anchorman.
It's like
that escalated
Anchorman,
quickly.
Yep.
You're from, hey, you work at Casual Mail or whatever it is. And great time, but it was kind of a bust, because we actually wound up. I think I mentioned this on another stream. There were buybacks on this product. Specific characters like Jar Jar Binks. What was his name? The pilot, the Naboo pilot. Oh, what was his name? Jeez, I can't.
He had a name.
But yeah,
I don't remember.
Anyway, we had pegs full of them, and a lot of like the Amidala's, like the 17 different versions of them.
Yeah,
and we had to repack them into cases and send them back to Hasbro for credit because they didn't sell. I mean, they went all out. I talk about the clip-on Jedi braid all the time. It was hilarious.
Yep.
I do like that they did those like accessory packs. Those were neat. But they even had like Queen Amidala dolls that were like $200. Some of them had like real porcelain heads or something, and then they were put on a doll, and they had every dress she wore. How they kept doing costume changes. So they made a toy of every dress. So, they were really pulling that out. But yeah, it was,
you got to wonder if when Lucas was writing the script, he's like, how much merchandising can I cram into this movie? Because I want to sell everything I can.
Yeah.
Make her change dresses 6 times. That's 6 different dolls. Yeah.
Scott, cool. Yeah, I worked there. I started in 97 and I worked there for a little longer than 2003. But yeah, that's cool. Awesome.
But yeah, seeing this blitz, because we were going into KB, or not KB, we didn't have KB had closed, but Toys R Us, and seeing the mega aisle for this, and already having seen the movie and going, it wasn't that good.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We all walked out of it
but
going like,
Darth Maul was awesome.
Like,
that's a lot of merch.
Yeah, the lightsaber fight was cool. As a matter of fact, I think when like Darth Maul like tries to jump Qui-Gon in the desert is like the best part. Like that was like the most exciting part of the movie for me. And where he's just like, "What the hell is this?" And he's,
up to this point, we saw two. We had two geriatric Jedi, kind of swat at each other in the first movie. We saw a little bit of better action in Empire, and then the major battle in Jedi. But we'd never seen young Jedi in their prime kicking butte until Darth Maul and that was cool.
Oh yeah, the comm chips were not. That was not
so bad.
Yeah, I bought a couple of those, and I'm like, this is stupid.
They could have scrapped that and just put more money into and also the break apart Darth Maul was kind of a spoiler. And
there
was some other issues, but that was
killed me about that.
That was the peak, and you could tell because the production of Star Wars stuff dropped drastically after that. They learned some lessons. They flew too close to the sun and really overdid it with the production on that. I think we even had like a coloring book or something like that, like a sticker book that came out in KB with no street date because everything else was strictly street dated. And it like spoiled the movie, but the guy at work that saw it, he said, "I know what happens," and I was like, "Don't tell me," But yeah,
here on page 38, you color Darth Maul and it's two halves.
He's on page 38 and 39. Yeah.
Some of my favorites, late 90s, early 2000s. You got Toys R Us got those exclusives. The G.I. Joes came back, but you saw 21st Century Toys with the Ultimate Soldier line.
Yeah.
And they really came out with some nice stuff in the 1/18 scale. These vehicles are beautiful, but they were expensive even back then. I remember even working at the store with my employee discount. I was like, "Ooh, they're just too much." I admired them. I have some of them. The figures were not great, but they did a thing where they had like interchangeable arms in different positions. So you could change them from like a shooting position to a standing to a saluting and stuff like that. They were very well painted and detailed, but they just were not articulated for play. They were great for posing and displaying, but and these vehicles were just amazing.
Look at that mother beautiful tank. I could just think of Oddball and Kelly's Heroes.
No,
these diorama sets, the bombed out, ruined. I have a couple of these. I want to do a build of them because I've built them and I put them back in the box. I have this and like a fountain. It's like a town square set. They're really beautiful.
I remember the one you're talking about.
I'd love to do a build online and just show everyone.
Heck yeah.
Those are great.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm looking at the buy it now prices. Ooh.
They are so expensive now.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like if you could find one of these, at a good price, they made beautiful 1/6 scale stuff too. Yeah. And they were only around.
Oh yeah, the planes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think till what, like 2010, I think they went out of business. I'm not really sure, but I know
I don't remember.
Episode 2 came out and the hype was not, there was not much hype for this. I think the stuff was street dated. We didn't change any aisles. We did not,
You'd have to revamp the entire store.
No, they just came out and they did a thing with this where, they had like magnets in their hands to do some like force stuff. And he had the Jedi power kick. So you saw these figures were like kind of molded in poses.
Yeah, squatty.
And and they weren't great. Episode 3 came around and things were a little better. They kind of course corrected. Then they went with the power of the Jedi, which allowed them to just start introducing new and old characters and make them. But I didn't get much of these. By this time I had kids and I kind of got out of collecting. So it's like right after 2000, like 2003 or 4, I stopped buying stuff. My heyday was the 80s and 90s. And what about you guys? Did you get into any of these lines back then?
I dabbled only because of our kiddo, and like, oh, maybe you might like that. No, you don't like Star Wars. Okay.
Yeah, you tried,
and then you'd mess with the figures and you're like, man, actually I can't blame you. I'm like, this thing is so, it's got 78 points of articulation. I can't even get Like, how do you get Qui-Gon Jinn's, like back to just a normal? That doesn't look like he's possessed.
I did get some of the Star Wars stuff just because I wasn't able to get it as a kid. So it was like, oh, now I have my own money and I can get my own Star Wars. Ha ha.
And they had less and less like vehicles and play sets. And it kind of stopped. You saw them like stop doing the cool thing. They did make some. They made like I saw
they made that
Naboo
the
research. Yeah, they did like the Geonosian arena play set. I never even made that. And those the clone troop carriers and ships and stuff, that stuff was really nice,
Oh, and that like 6-legged clone walker thing.
Yeah, that was sweet. Yeah, so they had some nice stuff there, but it definitely fell off, and I don't know if there was ever a time they weren't making Star Wars figures, so maybe someone could correct me. It was just then it kind of turned into the Black Series, or they did like Power of the Jedi. Then it kind of turned into
where they had like the comic packs and they started going deep into the expanded universe stuff.
Yes,
those were really nice.
Yeah, those were like the late 2000s. I'm like I said, anything from like 2003 or 4 through 2018, I'm kind of out of it. So.
It was the big red and black series boxes. Was the
Saga. Yeah,
I think that's.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Saga.
Yeah, and I was out of it for these. DC came back, Mattel got the license, and they'd start doing 1/18 scale superheroes again, which was pretty cool. Never had them. A year later, Marvel came out with their own 3.75 line. So now, and interesting thing, because Largo was saying he had some of these, and some of the early ones really didn't have great articulation. They were kind of stuck. Marvel came out with the 3.75, which had uber articulation. Like some of these were over articulated, in my opinion, like where they were just too much. They had some cool figures, they were awesome, but I just wasn't collecting at the time. And these actually go for a lot of money. You can't pick these up for very, cheap. You could buy like vintage stuff for cheaper. It's really, and I think it's just because they didn't make as many. It's kind of like those the 25th anniversary and 50th anniversary Joes and stuff. They just didn't produce the numbers. You know what
didn't
I mean?
commit.
So
I don't remember them being around for long. Like they were there and then gone.
And
we managed to get a couple of them, but
you had G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. They tried to bring that back, and then we headed right into the teens. So 118 kind of had some rough years. Some people, this is their golden years, though. It's just for me.
True.
It's the years I wasn't really around. Then we had Retaliation. Then they did the 50th anniversary kind of modern construction style. Yeah, they had some really great reissues of the vehicles during this time as well.
Yeah.
And
the mass device. I love having the mass device.
Oh, yeah.
They had then they moved into like the vintage collection. That was sometime in the 2000 teens. I don't know exactly when that transition happened, but that's what we kind of see through now, now we get into the modern day. And, this is where I got back into collecting. So this is kind of where, and 2020 came around. They re-released the retro G.I. Joe collection, which was like 50-50. The vehicles, very much so. I was very happy to be able to pick up a new
O-rings. Not so much.
And the figures were, and the Walmart exclusivity of this was a nightmare because, this was like really kind of a very frustrating time because I think I ordered online when they did the Ostriker and the Cobra Hiss, and they sent me 2 Ostrikers instead of one of each. And I was like, you sons of bitches, bastards.
It's 2020, the fulfillment guys are like, whatever.
It's like the store I had like tons of All Strikers, but they didn't have the hiss, and I just wanted the damn hiss, you know. But I've managed to pick up all of these, and I really liked them. I really liked building the All Striker. That was fun.
Yeah, it took you right back to the 1980, little you doing it. I realized, wow, I still suck at putting decals on.
Yeah, and I am the worst at it. Yeah, that was the part I got so nervous. Yeah,
even with tweezers.
Actually, I think mine doesn't even have the decals because I was like, I can't do it. I'm gonna mess up, and then I just left it. This line actually kind of helped get me back into toy collecting. Launched in 2020. These are Spin Master got the license after Mattel dropped it, and I totally understand that this is not for everyone. It's a more kid-based line, but they're 4 inches. They
still cool.
They go great with your GI Joes and your all your other action figures, and they're super accessible. They're everywhere. They're very cheap. And it was a full kind of set. They had vehicles, play sets, and figures to collect. And this is kind of the first series here that came out. And I got these, and I was just hooked, man.
They went deep in the line. They created a lot of characters that you wouldn't think kids would even know. But they put out a lot of
cyborgs.
Yeah,
I have not had more fun collecting a line, that's just available on the store shelves than this in a long time. It's my favorite line of the last 5 years. I loved getting the vehicles. I love getting the play sets, putting them together. And these are real toys, man. Like these, when the grandkids come over or if any kids come over and they want to play with my toys, I always give them my Spin Master Batman. And I say, you could have at it with these. I've got no qualms with you playing with them. And they have fun, they have some pretty good features. I know this one was another surprise hit of 2020 that came out. Was Final Faction came out with a $1 toy line. I know shortly after they converted to 125. So but for a while these were a buck each.
Outrageous.
These were $1 each for a long time. And people went nuts. They're 5 POA, limited articulation, but they do come with a great array of accessories. These are the repaint versions that came out after. So they even did a thing where they repainted all of their figures. But check this out, man. They did a vehicle, 2 vehicles at the $1.25 price point. And yes, the base vehicle is not as full as the the one that's fully geared up. For another $1, get that. You got to spend another $1 to get the extra guns and all.
Oh no!
Pieces. Yeah,
$2 whole.
So for $2, you have a functioning.
I want my $2.
I personally think that this Arrow ATV is a marvel of engineering for them to be able to design this thing, because it just comes in a bag. You snap it together and it works, man. It's
that and to have. Because I can thank Goji for my Final Faction. He blessed me with quite a few, which was awesome. But the fact that you could flip the pack over and it's like scan the QR code to see the comics, like to have a storyline with it. It's not just here's some stuff.
They did 2 animated episodes, I believe, and 1 comic book to tell the story. And it's kid-like. This is another line I've had a lot of fun collecting for the last couple of years. And these have been pretty much a staple on Target store shelves for, and that is, I think it started with me getting the Jurassic Park 18, but they're still coming out with new stuff for this. And they've got the dinosaurs. The figures are decently articulated and sculpted. They're a little pricier than some of the other lines, but they are definitely worth it.
But at least you can find them. Like they're there. Yeah. They're always there. You're never
and they're good quality. They hold up.
Yeah, and then you've got some of these modern, what we saw towards the end of the 20 teens and going into the current 20s. A lot of smaller toy companies, coming up and making some really great, fully fleshed out lines.
Boutique makers.
Yeah.
Yes, Eagle Force.
Awesome.
They're doing cool. It's kind of like perfected modern G.I. Joe construction, I would say, right? Like, as a matter of fact,
they took out the chest cut.
Shameless plug. Beta Ray Bob's joining me. Beta Ray Bob's joining me this Sunday, where we're going to talk about the body construction, the compatibility between all these modern format figures for those of us that do customizations, which Beta Bob, Beta Ray Bob, and many other are really into. And Bob, I got to tell you, the pictures you showed me of those breakouts, wait till you see them on Sunday. They're just amazing. He broke
thank
it
you.
down and did just a wonderful job of it. So
awesome.
Because
are we
not
going
a
to get some
artist.
mad? We're going to get some mad scientists, the lightning going and things all, spread out on the slab. And
no,
it's a lie.
Not that, but more like a very good idea of the different sizes, like the different connectors and the way that they make these, like the way they're constructed. It's a really great breakdown.
Thank you.
Marauder Gun Runners, which doesn't have, they have some themes, and they're coming out with the Vietnam stuff is coming out. They did a couple Kickstarters, but for customizers, the sky's the limit. You could buy PCs for you could just go nuts building stuff up. I know Joy Toy was around for a lot longer than I was aware of them. I think early 2014 or 2015, I think they came out, but they do like really wonderful. Them and Acid Rain, they do premium 1/18 scale stuff that is like, but it's pricey. It's not.
It's a premium
these are not
price.
toys. These are like modern. Look at that. These look like painted miniatures, but these are 1/18 scale action figures. Like they are crazy. That Warhammer stuff, insane.
Yeah, they've been doing some nice stuff with the Warhammer, but it's a little too.
And just last year, Marvel, answering Spin Masters 4 years that they've been doing the Batman and DC stuff, they came out with their own Epic Hero series line. Once again, I know these are not adult collectibles, but for me, I like toys. So they're great. I love them. They're for kids, but you know what? They're cheap. They're easily accessible, and they're fun to collect. They even gave you a checklist.
Imagine that.
Yeah. I'm having a great time. They don't have any play sets yet, but they did do a couple vehicles. As a matter of fact, I've got the Black Panther ATV right there.
Cool.
I don't remember where in the movies or cartoons he rode an ATV into battle that had a launching missile or claws, but I'm down.
It was implied.
Yeah. It was on the cutting room floor, but they just didn't. You'll see it in the director's cut.
And we see this renaissance, this O-ring renaissance, if you will, with the likes of Delta 17. And, I got those in it, and those just made me feel like a kid again, just opening them up. I mean, just a great time, and I really liked them. Then I was lucky enough to, just today on 1/18 day, get this guy came in. Look at him.
Nice. I've got my box. I just got my box.
And I got him in today. I got him, and this is me taking advantage of the pop and swap accessories. But that's Atomic Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so much fun.
Sweet.
And they had the pop and swap, but I only had 2 figures. So I put Boots on Construct and I put Monster Feet on just to have some fun.
So cool.
But, just a great time.
Alfred was asking about the Marvel Universe stuff. Those are 4-inch on the new ones. The Marvel Universe were true 3.75.
They were. So here's like even this one, the Marvel Retros, right? These were the Retro 5POA collection. And let me just randomly pick up any figure I got here. Here's so there's a slight difference in height, but as far as 1/18 goes,
very
I feel like
negligible.
3.75 to 4-inch, it just all works for me. I think it's close enough. I mean, obviously some of them are a little different than others, and you'll find that even within the same scale, some of the proportions are different. Like for example, this Batman figure has a much smaller head than like a stormtrooper. They're the same height and size, but it's just you got to kind of use your imagination. You can't. They're not all going to fit perfectly.
Aren't you a little skinny to be a Batman?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, And then so Strike Force Alpha kicking ass. I love it.
Oh,
look at that.
it's
just
so
great
good.
stuff.
Yeah, the pop and swap on those is like really fun to play with.
Yeah, we've got other
Very
ones
smart.
coming out like Operation Recall and Call Sign
Longbow.
They're going to be out later this year, hopefully. So it's a really good time to be a 118 nerd. And then out of nowhere, last year during the summer, Chat May, the company we're all used to just buying knockoff vehicles from their Soldier Force stuff because it works with our GI Joe, comes out and says, check this out, guys, we're doing our own IP. It's an entire world here. They've got 2 issues of the comic out. It's called Acid vs. Beta, the man versus machine. They even ran, this is just a still from this epic commercial they did. It's like a 20-second commercial. And it just
it was right. It was just like a Saturday morning cartoon, commercial you see in between.
Yeah.
Really well done.
They show all the products they have, man. They got these mechs, they've got these articulated robots, they've got that spider cannon. That thing looks amazing.
That is cool.
And we were talking about it, because I think Frontline, he's all in on the Chatmate stuff. Frontline won a spider cannon because his idea for the contest they did came
Excellent.
in.
Congrats.
And he won the spider cannon. I'm winning that big vehicle on the side there, the one on the left.
Just don't try to swap them. The spider cannon may not have cost as much as that.
I want the spider cannon.
I'm showing up, and
I'll trade you.
You don't want wives knocking on the door. Hey.
They've got vehicles, figures, play sets, and they're coming out with more. They were even cool enough, like I said, to do a contest where we just suggested ideas and then they gave away free toys. That's real fun. And I think they look great. I'm really excited for this line. And this is one of the first IPs that we've seen in a long time. I understand Strike Force Alpha's original and, Call Sign Longbow, but they're all kind of G.I. Joe derivatives. You know what I mean? Whereas they just came out with something, right? Like, I know, robots versus humans, it's Terminator did that, but I'm just saying from a toy line perspective, can you think
Simpsons
of
did it?
Simpsons
Simpson did everything.
Yeah.
But these are fun.
These look
and their vehicles transform as well. That's a cool feature. So you got this cool motorcycle, it turns into like
very
a
mask.
hovercraft. Yeah. So they kind of went with not all of them transform, some of them do, but that's it. That's our 118 scale day kind of celebration. If I thought of it, 3 days before it, so it's not like we had a lot of time to prepare. But maybe next year we could do a special, or if there's something that we didn't talk about today and you'd like to see a show on, we do the 118 show every Sunday. We talk about our favorite 118 scale stuff. So what about you guys? Any modern 118 scale you're into?
Those Common Rider figures that got you hooked on.
That's right.
Pretty
I still
fun.
got them right over here. I got to open one of these damn things up. I got the case right here. I haven't even opened them yet.
Oh.
I have the ones I bought at Joe Fest. I bought several of them from that guy, 118 Archive. He had a great table at Joe Fest, and I bought a bunch of stuff from him.
Scuba, I know you're more into the vintage, but are there some of the newer lines that you're going to start going in on, or just
definitely
kind of picking some favorites?
I got a couple of the Delta 17 figures, so because I'm in love with Death Sparrow.
Yes.
I've actually got her kind of defending the Cobra bunker up there.
Oh, nice.
And I just got some Strike Force Alpha. Literally, it's in the box on the landing that I need to open up because
I got mine in when I came home from work. Yeah.
I think it was Chad that had them on, wasn't it?
I was ordered,
hell yeah.
I ordered during the show while I was watching.
I did too. I was
ordered at the same time. Yeah.
And then I'm also Black Major Customs. Like I've got my USS Flag, the kind of the Navy crew coming from him.
Nice.
And then he's going to be doing some astronauts in that 3 3/4. Yeah,
Okay.
that's going to be cool. So I love those. And of course, Stan Solo, where he's cranking out the hits. I pick up those as well. I'm kind of all over the place when it comes to that. So
awesome. I'm looking forward to Delta 17, getting those in hand. About the only other 118 stuff that I'm really looking forward to is some of the Eagle Force figures. I'm going to cherry pick the ones that are homages to like the Micronauts and the Adventure Team. I won't go all in, but I'm definitely going to pick up some favorites.
Yeah, that's what I used to say about Eagle Force. And now I'm all in.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what like the 12-inch Joes. I started the year with 0, and now I've got a whole shelf worth because the guy said, no, you can't just get one. It doesn't work that way. They're like bunnies. They just show up and yeah.
So just people saying, hey, Spin Master, Frontline says he cherry picks. They are a pain in the ass to take apart for customs. I was gonna say they're great figure blanks too, especially like for a superhero character where most of the details are painted on and not sculpted in. You could just turn them into whatever you want. That's pretty cool. Some people like those. Lilith saying never got Final Faction there.
Australia, right?
Yeah, we should probably just send like a crate full of Final Faction over there and just say distribute this to all of our friends in Australia. Just send them over there. Sentinel. I don't know what that is about, but
I think it means the Sentinel behind you.
Oh yeah. 25 cents increase. Forget it. Yeah, it's blasphemy. Final Faction, great budget line. Well, Final Faction was my favorite budget line. Where's my guys I was making that they got dethroned by so I was doing Final Faction guys with Jurassic Park dollar store mini dinosaur heads on them as my alien line. I was doing Final Faction for a long time, but I went to Walmart last week and these Aquaman 2 movie figures were $1 and they're fully articulated. So I'm going to be using them as my figure bodies and
good custom fodder.
And they have articulation and come with some pretty good accessories. The sword and the trident here are pretty good battles.
Killed a man with a trident? I would lay low.
Might need to go to Walmart tomorrow.
Yeah. Check your Walmart. They're $1 each. So, and their suits are kind of generic as well. So it works for a lot of different things. And these are Jurassic Park mini dinos. They got big heads and little bodies, and they sell them at the Dollar Tree. But the heads work really well for 1/18 scale. So,
that's awesome.
Nice.
I've been having a lot of fun.
And we sing the 1/18 praises quite a bit, and there's a lot to be said for it. One thing that 1/18 has done well continuously is giving us a world building line, much easier for vehicles, much easier for play sets. And it's a line that is not specifically for collectors. There's a lot of stuff here that is kid friendly. If you want to play with your kids and grandkids, you can buy a bunch of 1/18 stuff and have at. Not so much with the 1/12. A lot of that is geared mostly towards adult collectors, and the price reflects that.
Yeah, I'm not breaking out my Valaverse to play with the neighbors. Nope. Where's the blast?
No touchy.
Leonard, we didn't mention Leonard, but they've been absent in the U.S. marketplace for like 5 years now, and I don't know what's going on with them because they have.
I see it over like Ireland and England, and it's like, I mean, walls of it.
Oh.
So, Scotty wondering, Beta Ray Bob, do you have any the micro station for Microman 99? Mine no longer works. The magnet release for the doors or of the track.
I was not able to get that one. The one that was like the if I'm thinking of the right one, the PlayStation. It looked like a PlayStation that transformed into a base. I remember seeing it at the time. I was only able to get Microman stuff imported through like Hobby Link Japan, and the price on it was just too high at the time.
Roll Keeper.
Now, when you went on your
stuff
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Bob
Good
went on
point.
a recent trip to Japan. Did you see any vintage stuff in the stores that was kind of like Grail stuff? Or
there was some really cool early Microman stuff, and one of the stores we went to, it was on their I guess vintage floor, if you want to call it that. But like the prices were just so high. It was like
I can imagine.
yeah,
like the giant Acroyer was like $200. I'm like, oh, it looks so cool, and it's got all the Japanese print on it and everything. That'd just be awesome, but not $200 awesome.
right. I just like the fact that there's a place in the world where there's stores where they have certain stories and levels. It's like, oh, you want giant Gundam? Oh, that's on level.
You got to go to 8.
Want,
Well, it's like when we went to the Kotobukiya store. We just went to the models floor, but it was like a whole floor full of like model kits and all sorts of stuff, and it was just so fun.
Oh, I want to go there so bad.
Oh, you should go now while the yen is still low to the dollar.
This is true.
It's quite affordable.
Go visit Phil.
Yeah. Go say hey.
I'm seeing the pitch now in the scuba house. It's Leslie, have you ever thought about the Orient? Because it's very romantic.
Actually, she wants to go too. It's not. I don't have to sell it at all. It's easy.
That's great.
Even staying in Tokyo is not as expensive as you might think. Like a lot of the some of the hotels are only like 60, 70 bucks a night.
I'm like,
and you got to see the giant. Yeah, you got to see Godzilla on the top of the hotel there. That's freaking cool.
Oh yeah, you got to see the big moving Gundam, all the fun stuff.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
It's awesome. Ian Sweeney's saying it's an unpopular with a lot of online toy communities, but it's it seems he's a big fan of the Star Wars retro collection, especially those from the new properties. 5 POA still works for me. Hey man, whatever. Yeah. That's the thing about this is like, even like with I don't know, I look at this and I see fun. Other people look at it and they're like, I don't care. I just
our mutual buddy
I'm having a good time.
Yeah. Stu, the Universal toy collector that Scuba's hung out with, he's really heavy into a lot of the cool Star Wars swag. He's got a neat collection over there. Still big in the UK. They did Star Wars Celebration over there with those guys not too long ago.
Yep, I had a blast.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. I gotta tell you,
I've actually got the Jedi retro pack for Stu because he was like, mate, like it's I couldn't get it, and I'm like, I got you.
I got this.
Nice.
It's in a pile waiting. Gonna go visit him this spring. So
the thing I'd say about 5 POA that still kind of does it, it's all right, for especially for people that just display their figures. They display just fine. You know what I mean? And for some of us, that's all they need. You know what I mean? So that's okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm like again, because my heart and soul, 90% of me is in vintage. I'm like, whenever retro or Stan Solo does a character that we never got and now we do, it's like, oh
man.
Yeah.
And the fact that Stan Solo can do such great work. He out Kenners, he does such awesome stuff.
Yeah, I got it carded Marion, going back to Indiana Jones because you want one of those on card. Original.
Oh yeah.
Skipping a house payment.
Good luck.
Yeah. But for I don't know, it was $40-$45 and to have that feel.
Oh yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Zaymut Rogue, Eagle Force for the win. Bob, you'll like that. You're into that.
And Dime Novel Legends.
Also, Dime Novel Legends, the Western. That is the same body buck as Eagle Force, or is that more?
It's a little different. It's a little different. It's the Chicken Fried Toys is close. It's like the same articulation points, but they do their arms differently. We'll cover it on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
They
did do one crossover that I'm sure Bob's going to bring up because that was one of my favorite characters. That was actually in Eagle Force. Yep, he was in Eagle Force, and then GI Joe stole him, but now he's back. He's back in Eagle Force.
Usual Mike bringing up the that thing I said just about sending Final
We need
Faction
to
down under.
apparently,
We really should
rent a container, pack it on a ship, and like
just
Lilith, Mike, all of just Zazel.
I feel bad. Yeah, they all like whoever's like a good point person. We need to coordinate this because we've all got probably enough excess Final Faction to just consolidate it all and just send them one big care package because you guys need to be able to experience it too. And
it needs to be an exchange, though. If we're sending them Final Faction, we want Tim Tam.
Yeah, Tim Tam.
I've never had
not toys. Tim Tam.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that trade for
so
sure,
good.
man.
Toys for candy.
So being 118 is a huge reason why I went so hard into the Joy Toy Warhammer 40K. By the way, Raidmates, I saw those on Ken's stream. Oh my god, so nice, so nice.
Lilith, I do have a lot of Black Major custom figures. I have quite a few.
Yeah,
all kinds of troopers, and he did a bunch of custom scuba divers in that. Oh my gosh, eel look, but like Python Patrol eel, and I mean all kinds of wacky.
Oh look, I'm pulling
Leslie may actually go to Japan before me.
Still send you a postcard. It's like, wish you were here, honey.
I'm like
having fun.
Just pack an empty suitcase for all the toys.
Here, I got you this thing out of the Gachapon machine.
Oh man, you got that at the airport on the way out.
Yeah, we actually went so far back that I've never done that before. So we're at an hour and 42 minutes. We've been through everything, guys. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask. I think it was a good 118 day for us, to celebrate. We could do this again next year, hopefully. It was a lot of fun. Usually we don't go. Was there anything that we didn't cover that you guys wanted to see or say or?
No, we went. I mean, there's a lot we didn't, but we went all over.
Yep,
it was great.
We'll try to do a deep dive sometime, maybe later in the year when we have time to work on it. But
the Lilith, so we need to form a committee. It's the Final Faction, Tim Tam coalition, and we will make this happen. And I think it'll be great. Yeah, so we should definitely make that happen. He does have quite a few of the Black Major. Oh yeah, great. They're addictive, man. Because the only problem I have with him is he does have a great marketing thing because he just posts something on Instagram. And it's like claim it now, and you're like, So he doesn't have like a website where it's like you could select my fall collection. No, it's like look at this awesome thing, buy it right now, or else never.
He's like get it or it's gone.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, one of the things I'm kicking myself on because I didn't get it. I didn't get it Joe Fest last year was the. You guys remember that guy that had like the table of bats that were like different designs? Like one was the bat.
Yes.
I'm kicking myself that I didn't get one of those while I was there. But
those are very cool.
Maybe this year, if you still got them.
I just like.
Now I want a Tim Tam. Oh,
nice.
Yeah. There's a Black Major bat.
Yeah.
Ken Poe hooked me up because even I miss out on some Black Major stuff, and he was like, "Oh, I got you covered." And I'm like, "Is there something you need?"
The urban camo from the Alley Viper. It's
yeah,
it looks real nice. It's very cool.
I have the one that is a Red Shadow repaint. It's a modern bat, but they're calling it the Mouton. It's like it's a bat, but it's cool.
Yeah.
So Zayman Rogue has a plea. If I may, I'm hunting for one of the Space Force figures made by Amazon. Toys, red or blue. Amazon. Oh, okay.
They only made those for a minute.
Yeah.
Then they made one that was like an astronaut that was a monkey, and then they made a couple other straight astronauts.
And then,
poof.
Yeah, Fresh Monkey Fiction was involved in that, and I know you could find them on their site for a while. I don't know if they still have any. I think they've still got the replacement heads. So you can get like the monkey head or the Nikola Tesla head. But check the Fresh Monkey Fiction website and see if there's
The
any
Tesla
left.
head.
Yeah.
Shocking.
And
Yeah, I
think,
missed out on the. They did Captain Action and Jungle Jim and a few other classic characters that were under Zika, and I wasn't into it at the moment. And then when I was, it was like, nope, those are gone.
Oh, yeah,
Soon
man.
on this.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
the Delta
Oh,
17 is coming soon.
Yep.
I think
They're just getting their
they're just gonna get
shipping.
thing. What is it?
Yep.
I think Steve actually has to physically like drive. He had all the Delta 17 like shipped to his house, but to ship to the U.S. he has to.
He's got to
find
get
like
to the shipper.
a U.S.
Yeah. He has a
fulfillment.
partnership
He
with
has
a
it.
a distribution. He's got Shopify to set up all the little things that have to be fine tuned, but it's coming
Very
soon.
soon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, just the heads. You know what?
Oh,
I
I'm
remember
sorry.
those. Yes, I remember seeing those on the Space Force heads. They had all different characters. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they
I
had
don't
like
know.
a
Yeah,
Uncle
I guess they
Sam.
just went away. They were there for a long time too, and they were very inexpensive.
Yeah, we'll ask around if somebody in the
I think-
community knows. We'll pass it on.
I did look up the Lilith was mentioning the BBI Hind helicopter.
Ooh.
I found it. I was actually I think I did reply to your comment with a link to the video. If I didn't, I will try to. But apparently the person who was reviewing it on YouTube did not like it very much. So I don't know. I didn't have time to
It
read the
wasn't
whole
quite
thing, but
in the right scale. It was a little small,
yeah, maybe
undersized.
not. But because
Yeah.
Delta 17, they mentioned they're going to do the Hind D, and Lilith commented that they already made one. BBI made one, but I'm not sure what the issues were with it. I gotta rewatch that video because I did Google it, I saved it, and obviously I get distracted as easily as
Squirrel.
that, so, yes.
Ooh, shiny.
So all right, I think
Throwing
that's a
chicken.
good place to end that, guys. Thank you so much for celebrating with us tonight. Thank you everyone in chat that came out.
Thank you for having us on.
All your feedback
thanks.
and questions.
And the chat
It's
was
always great to
cranking.
hang out.
Yeah, sorry if we didn't catch everybody's comments, but we're watching them and we'll reread them after if we missed anything. If you two gentlemen will hang out in the green room for a second after we head off, we'll talk about future projects. Groovy.
Sounds good.
And squirrel. Yes.
Oh.
And where is it? Oh, there it is. Exit. Okay. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much.
Not that
And
button,
until
everybody.
next time, I'll see you.